Hi, guys. Trying to get set up. Always a thing. Hey, Ross Lynch fan, how are you? Oh, I have found what works really good for me, and I'm not saying it'll work for you. But what works for me is eating grapefruit. And when I say eating grapefruit, I mean like eating grapefruit. Somehow, it just works. I can't explain it, but it does. Okay. Oranges. Oh, yeah, and you do have to be careful depending upon the medicine that you're using. Anything that has vitamin C, to be honest. Hey, D-Man 9FP. Hey, everybody. How is everybody? I know Russ Lynch is not feeling good. Hey, Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Um, Today we are. Have you watched my videos? Thank you if you have. I haven't watched any of them, so nice. So, my question to you all at the start of this live is what ecosystems or what biomes are around where you live? Today, we are discussing how ecosystems are organized, how ecosystems are organized, how biomes are organized. That's what we're talking about. And guys, oh, you're in 2nd grade. It always is more complex than just being a deciduous forest. Always. Nothing is ever um there there isn't a cookie cutter that says every single piece in the puzzle that makes up a biome is going to be reflective of a deciduous forest up in Indiana or Illinois or Ohio. Just because I'm in a biome in Indiana, like a deciduous forest, hi Bentley, doesn't mean that I'm going to have the same environment or the same organisms. I might have similar, but I may not have, there may be pieces of that puzzle that are missing. But anyway, we are talking about ecosystems today. And I don't know where people are at. Hi, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Deck 57. Hi. But on my channel we talk about ecosystems every once in a while, but we don't really discuss their smaller parts. And I'm going to be switching out ecosystem with biome. There are some differences. So but today we are going to be touching on some of those smaller parts because they are equally important. Today we're going to be looking at Africa. NatureGuide.execute has stopped working. I don't even know what that is. What is that? What is that? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Teresa. You would not want to know. Maybe I don't want to know. The typical biome in Africa, at least for most of us, when we think Africa, we think of the African plains or the savannah. Within the savannah, within the African savannah, there are multitudes of living things. And each one of those life forms is our first step in how ecosystems are organized. And the first step is organisms. Without them, you don't have an ecosystem. You just simply have something. You have rocks. Not any organism that we're going to be talking about. I'm a devil. Well, I'm nature guy. He was talking about me. I'm a king guy? I don't think so. So, in the animal that we're going to be looking at is the African elephant. But we're not looking at a group of elephants. We're not looking at a herd of elephants. We are simply looking at one elephant. And they are a keystone species in Africa. So my question to you is, why is the African elephant so important to the grasslands of Africa? And I'll give you a chance to figure that out. Apparently, I don't have a moderator today. So, why what? Guys, you can't just... Juan, what is your damage? Sorry, man, but that's what I'm asking you. Why are they important to the African grasslands? So, they... Well, potentially, maybe. So the reason that elephants are so important to the African grasslands is, one, they remove trees. They will knock down trees to get it food because they will eat the bark. They will eat, the leaves, whatever. But they do that. Juan, this is a warning. Clean up the language or the next time you're gone. Yes, they do that. They do those things. Do not spam my channel. And they also help create water holes. Elephants are one of the few animals who are able to find it within the depths of the earth, and they will open up holes in order to get to that water, and then that generates. We're learning about. Do you guys not see the topic when you come into the live? We are talking about African. We are talking about how biomes are organized. That's what we're learning about. So they can also dig these holes into the earth that fill up with water, thus allowing other animals to get drinks. So they do that. Plus, as D-Man said, they're also really good at eating fruits and other plants. And they then drop those seeds and poop them out all over the savannah, and that does magic. Not right now, no. We can talk about penguins and polar bears maybe at a later date. We don't have bears in the grasslands, so that's not happening. Maybe at the end of my thing, we can talk about bears and polar bears, but not right now. So those are some things that they're really good at. Now, is there another keystone species that you can think of that comes from the African grasslands? And I just want to say that every biome that is out there has a keystone species. Tigers do not live in Africa. But that being said, tigers are a keystone species. Actually, let's confirm that. But I'm pretty sure they are. Juan? You're really not going to like me. The next time you're gone. I don't do, you can ask my regulars, I don't do emojis. Because you may have used the emojis. To me, that's the same thing as saying it. Just because I'm old doesn't mean I'm dumb. So, another keystone species in Africa would be the lions. Lions are a keystone species. They help to weed out the sick, the old, and that helps sort of reduce the number of herbivores that are out there eating plant matter and reducing numbers and keeping populations in check. So, any questions on keystone species, on organisms, stuff like that? Zebras are not a keystone species, but they are definitely a herbivore that feeds lions. as well as other animals. Those stripes are there probably to help confuse predators, a way of blending in with the crowd. Okay, so I don't see any questions, so we're going to move to our next area, which is our next level up from the organism is population. So when it comes to populations, we're talking about, if you think about it this way, you are a part of your city's population. This is not talking about all of the animals that live in that ecosystem or biome. We are talking about a group of animals or plants of the same species that live and interact within the same area. So an elephant herd would be considered a population. A pride of lions, a group of monkeys, a herd of zebras, a pack of hyenas, and so on and so forth. So, any questions on populations? Or anything that I forgot? He might have been suggesting that monkeys would be part of that community. We could have a community. Can a biome become deserted? Deserted or deserted? Yes, a group of giraffes or a herd of giraffes would be a community. So our next, that's true. I suppose so. I suppose it could happen. If man comes in and he bulldozes a forest or fills in a swamp for development, in a way, I guess it empties the biome or the ecosystem. Hi, Jesse. Hi, sorry. I almost messed up that name. Hi, Jesse. Is it me, Misa? Occupies, yes, as far as I know. Anteaters are not in Africa. So our next step is this next section gets really intense really quickly. We are starting to build bigger and bigger, and that's what we're looking at. Each level gets bigger and bigger. It's not my name, it's the information I guess I'm supposedly here to obtain, and I'm ready to obtain it. Well, you will learn. We have discussed that, D-Man, between me. I think we've discussed that before, and you know how I feel about it. Then our next area is community. And it's not the entire African savanna. A good way to think about community is to thank you for the hearts. A good way to think about the African savanna or community is to think of your city town, or village. If you live in a city, it would be your city block. That is your community. It's just a portion of the savanna, but it's all of the living things within that city block. So it's all of the animals and plants within that area. Told you it was going to get complicated. Any questions at this point? By the way, if you haven't done it yet, please give the channel, please give the live a like. That helps more people find me. And that's important. Before we jump into our next section, I have a question for you. Actually, it's a true and false statement. An ecosystem Africa does have invasive species. I don't think there's a continent that doesn't have invasive species. So, here is my question for you guys. And then I will get to D-Man's question. An ecosystem is a community of living things interacting with each other, but not interacting with non-living things. I love that because people eat them. People raise them and eat them. I'm going to have a wonderful day, I think. So, an ecosystem is a community of living things interacting with each other, but not interacting with the non-living things. True or false? Oh. Juan, do not insult people. Chickens are amazing. So I don't know if people eat guinea fowl. I'm assuming they do. So the answer would be false. In an ecosystem, there is an interdependency, just not on the living things, but also on the non-living things. Or as ecologists and naturalists and biologists call it, abiotic factors, such as sunlight, rainfall, water, soil, temperature. All of this is smacked into the mix of things to form an ecosystem. And a lot of times, and yes, nutrient availability. And air, maybe not. Well, fire can be. Fire can be an important part of an ecosystem, or a biome for that matter. We sometimes, a lot of times, I know I do it, we sometimes interchange the word ecosystem with biome, but they're not quite the same thing. So, any questions on ecosystem? Hello. Any question on ecosystems? Did I explain that thoroughly enough? They do. Oh, and I gotta look that up, don't I? Um, European, so D-Man, Africa actually has invasives. They have the European green crab, Argentine ants. Apparently, Nile perch, which lives in Africa, but I guess is spread outside of its natural range. Mexican poppy, eucalyptus, prickly pear, castor oil plants. Some garden snails. Hey, only dummy 06. Red claw crawfish, Sally Lightfoot crab, red swamp crayfish, Asian tiger mosquito, a bunch of flies, West Indian drywood termites, pine needle aphid, European wasp, electric ant, which I've never heard of. That's interesting. Common carp, grass carp, silver carp, Florida bass, smallmouth bass, bluegill, largemouth bass, European perch, Atlantic salmon, European pond turtle, red-eyed slider, mallards, house crow, not sure what that is, house sparrow, common starling, western barn owl, feral dogs, wild goats, fallow deer, feral cats, feral donkeys, crab-eating macaque, house mouse, nutria, European rabbit, brown rat, black rat, wild boar. So, yeah. Juan. You need to stop. You know what? I am done. I couldn't take it anymore. So, the next step from ecosystem is biome. And this is major. A biome is a large geographical area They have a very distinct climate, a very distinct group of plants and animals that are native to that biome. In this case, our biome is grasslands. Now, you can also have variants of biomes. You can have different ecosystems within that biome. You can even have biomes within biomes. Sort of weird, but it's true. So what I mean by that is you could have a river that passes through a forest. This creates a riparian ecosystem within the forest. So you could literally have deserts may be growing. I know in some places deserts are growing due to global warming or global heating, whatever you want to call it. And some biomes are probably shrinking. Well, then the next step is being reported. And that's what's going to happen the next time that he comes in, is he's being reported. Actually, if you are on my live right now, I want to thank you for being here. It's awesome that you're here. Our last area that we're going to jump into is biosphere. Well, I'm hoping. Hi, Jaden. Please don't give out your age. Oh. No, 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 no. No. D-Man, that's not why he got banned. Oh, 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 oh. I thought you meant Jaden. Sorry. It would be biosphere. So a biosphere is flat out ginormous. It is the sum of all ecosystems and all biomes on the earth. In fact, it is a part of the earth that supports life. It's a huge, massive chunk of the earth if you think about it, because life can exist at the top of mountains to the bottom of the ocean. So it's massive. And that is how biomes are organized. And there are, like I said, there are many, many little jigsaw puzzles that fit together to make all of that work. We could be here literally for forever and not cover every single piece. And Ida, hello, hello, hello. We do not have time to cover all of that. It was Jaden Meadows, 2D D2T. And I don't think he was, he might have been 10. Sorry for answering. So my part of live is done. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Um, you may have, if you hang out on my neck of the YouTube community page, I'm trying not to be. I thought I did pretty good today. I thought I did pretty good today. Some of the stuff I can tolerate, but I'm not going to tolerate the language. And then if they want to be rude about the language, I'm like, why? So I am a bit concerned about something. My shirt, um, I want to, I don't do this a lot. I don't share a lot of the inside stuff. I tend to show you guys sort of the good stuff. On the channel. I don't always fill you in on the bad stuff. So, we started off October Is that the one with the, is that the cartoon? Is that a cartoon? Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. So October started at, let's see, we started off October 1st with 1,805 subscribers, 21.2 thousand views, I don't remember what, oh, watch time hours. We started off the month with 217.9 watch time hours, 28,000, I'm sorry, no, 2,879 public watch hours, and 13,000 shorts watch hours. Today we are sitting at 1,816 subscribers, 13.1 thousand views, 151 watch time hours, 28,000, I'm sorry, I keep doing that, 2,853 public watch hours, and 9,000 short views, which I know the short views, that's on me. I don't understand what's going on with the rest. We have literally dropped, we've had a big drop. I feel like that's a pretty substantial drop. And it has me worried. If I can get my backside up out of bed, I'm going to do, and Carrie, I don't expect you to get up with me. I will figure that part of it up. But a substantial number of my subscribers are active at times when I'm not. YouTube suggested that I get up at 2 a.m. and go live. And I'm not going to do that. I don't, it's not that I don't like you guys. I'm just not going to do it. However, there is also a substantial number of people that are active early Saturday, and even at like 9 to 10 in the morning during the week. I can do that. So I may start doing lives in the morning. I used to do them. I think that's when I gained Ross Lynch. I used to do lives a little bit earlier than this whenever my nephew would lay down and take a nap. I don't have that opportunity because he doesn't, I don't babysit him, so consequently, I don't know when he's taking naps and when he's not. So I don't know if I've changed something in the formula. I have cut out the big intro to the videos, hoping that might lead to more people sticking around. I don't think it has. I don't think it's made that big of a difference. Yeah, 2 a.m. I'm not getting up that early. I mean, I might be up that early, but it's not by choice. It's because it's the witching hour and I'm just, for some reason, my brain wakes me up right about that time. I'm weird. My window, my one window that I can open, sort of, I open the blinds fully when I go to bed, and then I close them when I get up. Really weird, but it's a habit I've got into. I don't even look out the window. I just have them open. Um, I don't know what's changed, but I feel like something has. I need to get back into doing shorts, so that's happening. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's me when I had issues posting. I think I remember that. I think I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah, that happens sometimes in movies where the character becomes eh. Did I answer everybody's questions? Uh, tonight's live. Hold on. I think it's something. I think it's something weird. Oh, I went too far. No, maybe not in this case. I'm going to be doing some advertising for the AZA. We're going to be talking about becoming a foster parent at your local zoo, meaning adopting an animal at a local zoo. And then we're going to chat. We're going to talk. Yes. Yes. Now that you don't actually take the animal home. But yeah. Our next live will be so we need to talk about tomorrow. We are going to be doing both lives tomorrow at 1 o'clock because I am not going to be home in the evening. So, no 6 o'clock live tomorrow. I feel like that's hurting me. But we are doing 2 learn to cares. I believe it's 2 birds. Or no, it's a plant. And I'm not sure what the other one is. It may be another plant. But that's Saturday's live. Tuesday's live is going to be the groundhog and the polar bear. And then we're doing Halloween. We're doing 2 extinct animals. The Hawaiian black-faced honey creeper, Hawaiian black-faced honey creeper, and the Christmas Island pipistrelle. Not sure that's pronounced right, but anyway. For those of you that love like megafauna and prehistoric creatures, we are going to be talking about Triceratops and Stegosaurus, and then woolly mammoth and American mastodon on November 4th. So, lots of stuff happening. I'm excited. My first guest. No, it's not a scam. My first guest was. I forget what her screen name was. But it was a friend of mine whose mother worked at one of the big zoos in the area. And she talked about being there as a kid behind the scenes and some of the stuff that she learned being behind the scenes. So it was sort of a different outlook to the zoo based on what I've talked about. Well, we are going to be talking about the American mastodon. We're not going to be talking about the Colombian mammoth, though. At least not that night. Mm, oh, I can check. I'm almost certain the Queen of the Andes is a plant. It is a plant. I was right. It reminds me of the of a plant that we've already talked about that comes from Hawaii. Looks very similar to it. And the other one is probably also a plant. Because I usually try to keep them sort of the same. It is a plant. It's actually a hibiscus. Maybe not. But Colombian mammoth. Let's see. Is it on the radar? It is on the radar. D-Man 9FP. It is on the radar. It is coming up in February. We're doing Colombian mammoth and the cave bear. Nope. They are two very different organisms. If I remember right, mastodons are smaller, whereas mammoths are giants. You can think of woolly mammoths being like the African elephant, and mastodons sort of being like the Asian elephant. They're still big, but they are not the same animal. I even believe their diets are different. Well, they are now, definitely for sure. I don't know how genetically Yes, we did. You, D-Man 9FP, are correct. So, the lineage for Neanderthals and modern humans, Homo sapiens, separated between 500,000 and 650,000 years ago. Whereas mastodons and mammoths diverged from a common ancestor over 20 million years ago. Their split predates the evolution of modern elephants. Mammoths are a part of the family Elephantidae, which includes modern elephants. Mastodons are in a separate family. Mammoths fed on grass, while mastodons fed on leaves and twigs. So if you look at an elephant's teeth or a mammoth's tooth, they're going to be flat and they're going to grind. So like a grinding stone. Whereas mastodons are sort of cone-shaped for crushing. So there are very distinct differences. Just like there are differences between so humans, and we know this because we've done genetic testing, there are certain groups of people who still carry Neanderthal genes in us. If you are of Eastern Asian descent, you probably carry Neanderthal DNA. Some people of European descent will carry Neanderthal DNA. And some people in Africa may carry Neanderthal DNA. Overall, modern humans of Eurasian descent meaning European and Asian people, carry approximately 1 to 4% of Neanderthal DNA because of that interbreeding that took place. And it varies depending upon where you live. But not everybody. It's a very small amount. It's like 4% of your possible DNA is in carries Neanderthal DNA. Let's see if we can fine tune it. So if your people, if you are from Northern Europe or even the Basque region, you probably have Neanderthal DNA in your body. The Basque region would be within the Western Pyrenees Mountains on the borders of France and Spain. They probably are going to have the most. The lowest concentrations are going to be Northern and Eastern Europe, or Southern Europe. However, if you're from the Tuscany region of Italy, you may have higher DNA. Most non-African people carry about 1 to 2% of Neanderthal DNA. Most people. So, if you're from Tuscany, Italy, you carry a huge amount of Neanderthal DNA. An estimated 16 million men, or 0.5% of the world's male population, are direct male line descendants of Genghis Khan. This estimate comes from a 2003 genetic study that confirmed that there is a Y chromosome lineage shared by approximately 8% of the men in the former Mongol Empire's territory across Asia. This genetic marker is most prevalent in populations within the former Mongol Empire, from China to Uzbekistan, or with the highest concentration in Mongolia. So there you go. Nope, I can't. But with what happened in Oklahoma, I'm not too terribly surprised, I guess. Not a problem. Yeah, I think so. Um, D-Man 9FP, are you talking about the genetics? So, that is a good question, D-Man 9FP. If a person So that is a really good question. One that right now I don't really have all the answers for, but I will try. So, this is from Ancestry.com. Many things can cause surprising ancestry DNA results. Most have to do with the way DNA is passed. You may not have inherited certain DNA because DNA inheritance is random. So you don't inherit 50% of your parents' ancestral regions. At most, only half of someone's DNA is passed down. Beyond your parents, the amount of DNA you inherit from ancestors is not necessarily 25% from each grandparent, 12.5 from each great grandparent, and so forth. Your DNA may also look more like DNA from regions near your ancestors' homelands than it does like DNA from their country. DNA is passed down randomly. That means there's half of their DNA you didn't inherit. Inheriting half of a parent's DNA doesn't mean inheriting half of each ancestral region. The DNA that you inherit is random. One or both parents may have regions that they didn't end up passing down to you. Or they may have passed down only a small portion of that region. If you have great great grandparents who's 100% Japanese, you might expect to have 1/16, about 6% Japanese. But that may not be the case. This is because from your great great grandparents' generation down to you, you inherited DNA from 15 other people. And since the DNA you received is random, you are not inheriting a neat 50% of each region. So now that So that being said, you received 50% of your DNA from your parents, right? Meaning half and half. If you are 7 generations removed from a particular person, less than 1% of your DNA is likely to have come from any given ancestor. Less than 1% of your DNA is likely to have come from any given ancestor. Because if you think about it, it gets pretty diluted. Hold on, I have to do something. Ow! Oh. Old bones. I want to look something up. Oh. Okay, let's see. Guys, I'll be right back. Sorry, y'all. Huh. So somebody mentioned so somebody was talking about who's famous that they're related to. And I'm going to try and tell you. Gosh darn it. Why isn't anything ever easy? Half of the people that you guys are naming, I don't even know. Oh, well, that's interesting. Hey, Carrie, I don't understand this one, but I'm related to a king of Norway. I don't know how that's possible, but apparently it's through my mom's line. He's my 13th cousin once removed. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But that would mean that could be, maybe. Not necessarily, though. Because we have people with my last name in our city, but they're not related. John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Harry Truman, Teddy Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Princess Diana, Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, James Madison, Zachary Taylor, Lyndon B. Johnson, Nancy Reagan, John Browning, Samuel Morse, Jonathan Browning, Thomas Edison, Walter Chrysler, Wilbur Wright, Charles Darwin, Edgar Allan Poe, Henry David Thoreau, Jane Austen, Walt Disney, Katharine Hepburn, Buster Keaton, Marilyn Monroe, Mark Twain, Emily Dickinson, Lucille Ball, T.S. Eliot, Cecil B. DeMille. But this ties in with our discussion on DNA. Henry DeMille is on my dad's side of the family, but he's my 10th cousin once removed. So he's 10 generations back, but so if you have somebody that far back who is a 10th cousin once removed, you carry less than um genetically you carry if you have an ancestor who is 10 generations back, um if you're 10 generations or more back, the your relationship to that ancestor, making the genetic link even fainter. This amount of shared DNA is so low often that it's statistically insignificant and hard to detect. You share an ancestor approximately 10 generations ago, but the amount of shared DNA is reduced by half for every generation that passes. By the 10th generation, the amount of DNA shared is so minimal that it's often less than what is detectable through common genetic testing, which is why the chances of detecting such a distant relationship are very low. That's very possible what they're saying, D man. Or Ross Lynch. But there's so many cool people. Hi, Real Gaming. There are some people that I'm related to that I'm like, yeah, yes, I'm related to this person. Until I look up and I realize that they're 13 generations removed. And then I'm like, eh. But I'm still really hyped. Especially when I have people like, I'm related to Batman. What the heck? Agatha Christie, Emily Dickinson, T.S. Eliot, Mark Twain, Henry David Thoreau, and Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, I'm related to Adam West, the guy that played Batman in um the TV version that came out in the 60s. Yeah, I'm related to him. I'm not I don't know how I feel about it. You one thing about it though, you can't choose your family. I think I think he might have done a thing on that. Grace Kelly, Audrey Hepburn, John Wayne, and Shirley Temple, Bing Crosby, Elizabeth Taylor, Buffalo Bill, Betty White, Lucille Ball. Yeah. And then I'm also excited because I'm also related to Helen Keller, Florence Nightingale, Robert Perry, Amelia Earhart, and none of these matter to me, but Gordie Howe, Babe Ruth, yeah, fairly accurate because they do it through your ancestry. So the people that are connected to you already. This is fairly accurate. You have to look. You have to click on if you. So, like, here, I'll show you. We'll do. This is my church's family history site, Family Search. So, I can't show you everything because it'll show you my name. But this is me. This is me. He is my 9th cousin, five times removed, Charles Darwin. There is, let's see if I can shrink this down. So, on my mom's side of the family, Charles Darwin, and the line that we're connected to is from 2 people that lived ages ago. Oh no, I lost it. Yeah, from like who knows when, lady something or another. It's just sort of cool. Anyway, guys, we've been on for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna let you guys go because I gotta eat. And work on stuff. So I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Bye bye.